Buy as much as you can afford in its most recognizable and divisible form. YouTube Vertical Stacker here. The winter months are upon us, and that means, among other things, I'm back in the saddle. I am not out playing as much as I was doing for the last 6 months of my life with my kids out in the desert, up in the mountains, hiking, backpacking, fishing, hunting. I'm back in the saddle to talk about precious metals. And in this video, I'm going to talk about the 5 worst ways to stack silver. Now, a caveat. This is just about all the silver I have left in my stack. Now, I don't really consider this my stack because my stack is something that I use. And when I say I use it, it means I buy it, I sell it, I trade it, and I do it for, wise purposes to obtain other assets or to pay certain things or whatever. But a stack is something that I use, and these are things that I will probably never really use in any meaningful way, but it's more of a collection, and we'll talk about that later. But this video are my 5 worst ways to stack silver, so let's talk about it. First, at the beginning of the video, I started off with that quote from a wise man. Used to be a coin dealer in my neighborhood, and he would always tell me, you need to buy the most silver that you can afford in its most recognizable and divisible form. And I'd never really questioned him on that. I thought I knew what he meant, and I think I really did know what he meant, and I know what he didn't mean. And I think what he didn't mean was reason number 5, and that is buying silver in too fractional of a form. Right here, you'll see that I have a bunch of grams and 10th ounces of silver. I just don't think that really, really small denominations of silver are a good way to stack silver. Now, the exception would be for maybe the 10th ounces of silver, but it really only applies if you can get them at or near spot. Same thing applies to like junk silver. Here's all the junk silver I have left in my stack right here. That is it. That's all the junk silver I own. Most of you who know me know I used to have a lot more than that, but I use my stack, right? And so if I find a reason to sell it or to trade it or to use it in some manner that is more efficient than just sitting somewhere locked up, then I will do so. But trying to buy grams of silver, for example, these little gram bars, I looked on, I think it was JM Bullion website this morning. For 5 grams, those are selling for around $8.82. Let's just round that up to $9. That's ridiculous. 31 grams of silver per troy ounce. So extrapolate that out. 6 times 9 is about $54 an ounce. Who's paying $54 an ounce for this type of silver? Not me. Not me. That's a terrible way to stack silver. I think the constitutional silver, when you can buy it without ridiculous premiums, is a great way to have that divisible form that I think my friend was talking about. And frankly, just 1 ounce silver rounds. That's a very divisible form of silver. 100 ounce bars, not a fan. I've never owned one. I don't think I ever will. I just don't see that as being a really liquid form of silver, particularly one where you can get the same premiums back that you may have had to pay for it when you bought it. So buying silver in too fractional a form, just not a good way to stack silver. Avoid those grams and really, really small units of silver because the premiums attached to them are just really, really unreasonable. All right, number 4, online auctions. I have a lot of friends in the community that do online auctions. You guys know and gals know I love you. I'm never going to say anything bad about you, but as well as I do, and they will admit the same, that buying silver on an online auction, whether it's Instagram or YouTube or whatever platform it happens to be, is a terrible way to stack silver. Why? Because by the very nature of an auction, you are bidding against others And oftentimes that creates ego battles. Been guilty of that myself. And you pay way more for an ounce of silver or 5 ounces of silver or whatever than the piece is actually worth. And you could go out to your local LCS and buy 3 or 4 ounces of silver now for the price you just paid for one. When you go to those auctions, you go because you're supporting the channels. You love the folks that are putting them on. They're your friends. It's fun. You get in the group, you chat. And it's fun to beat people up too, right? You see people that really want a piece, and you kind of poke them in the ribs a little bit, and you bid against them, and it's fun. I've been sucked into that many times. I've spent a lot of money on online auctions, but it's a terrible way to stack silver. Don't recommend it, but go and support those people. At least be in the chat, even if you don't bid on anything, because they put a lot of work into their auctions, and they are really fun to attend. All right. Number 3, buying custom pours. I have quite a few different custom pours here, and I love these. These custom wood pours are some of my favorite pours, but they are not cheap, right? These are things that people put their time and their effort and their silver into, and so you're not going to buy those things for spot. Usually, you're not going to buy those things anywhere close to spot. You're going to be paying a really good premium. For example, this one. Yankee stacking number 1, 2-ounce round. What do you suppose I paid for that? Spot price? Nah, a little bit more. So terrible way to stack silver, because you're just never going to get the value back from what you pay out of these custom pieces. They're fun to collect, and that's why I don't really consider this part of my stack. This is just part of my collection. There's a difference between a stack and a collection. I don't really use my collection for anything other than for my own personal enjoyment, but I use my stack, and it will come and go over the years, and my stack is very liquid, and because I follow these general guidelines, I can move silver very quickly in my community. I can't move stuff like this very quickly without taking a huge loss on it, which is why these are collectible pieces that I keep and not part of my stack. The number 2 reason, or number 2 worst way to stack silver is with these, highly collectible pieces. This is part of the Gods of Olympus series. This is Hades sitting on a toilet taking a duke, is what it looks like. But these, I can't remember, what I even paid for these, $250, $300, something like that. Highly collectible pieces. A lot of folks were flipping these. I got into that a little bit as well, but I just didn't have the time and the energy and, frankly, the desire. I can go and I can put an hour into trying to flip this silly thing and packaging up and selling it, and make $100 or whatever, but that's just not a good time value of money for me, based on what I do for a profession and what I can do elsewhere with that time. So I am not really into putting collectible pieces into a stack, or saying that that's even a good way to stack, because truly it's not. I don't know if I'll ever be able to get rid of these pieces for even what I paid for them, maybe someday, but silver spot price is probably going to have to go back up to $29 or $30 before I can do that. So collectible pieces, whether it's from the US Mint or from any private mint, just not a good way to stack silver. Very expensive silver for the most part. Now, it's great for flipping, but that's different than stacking. Now, you could use the proceeds from your flip to grow your stack, but this kind of stuff really isn't or shouldn't be part of your stack, because that is really expensive silver. And if you ever needed to liquidate that in a hurry, I could take this to my LCS today and they're going to give me about $120 for that. Why? Because it contains 5 ounces of silver, and they might view it as somewhat collectible, and then they'll turn around and they'll sell it for $150 or $160. But yeah, just not a great way to stack silver. Finally, the last worst way, not the least, but the last worst way of the 5 to stack silver is to not do it at all. I think silver has its place. Obviously, we have a large community that stacks silver here on YouTube, over on Instagram, and elsewhere. Facebook groups, there are just thousands and thousands and thousands of people around the world, if not millions, who appreciate and understand the intrinsic value in silver and other precious metals and understand the importance of stacking, whether it is for a quote-unquote hedge against inflation. You see that a lot, whether it's a store of value, or any number of things that people say or give as reasons why they stack silver. Again, my reason for stacking silver is to use it. It is a stack that is liquid and it moves around, it comes and it goes. And as of right now, I'm waiting for those premiums to keep dropping and for the spot price to keep dropping to get below $20 an ounce. So I've been sitting pretty skinny on silver. So these are the top 5 worst ways, in my opinion, to stack silver. Buying it in too fractional of a form, such as those grams, overpaying at the online auctions, buying custom pours, buying the really highly collectible silver, whether it's at the U.S. Mint or what have you, and then of course not stacking at all. Folks, having a silver stack can bless your life, but make sure you can afford to do it and you buy it in its most recognizable and divisible form, because that way, and I can really testify to that because I've done it several times, you can move your stack and do quite well. And then when the price is right, you can buy it up again. So rinse, repeat, right? Vertical stacker, that's my story. I'm sticking to it. Let me know your thoughts about these, in my view, worst ways to stack silver. What else do you have in your mind that are terrible ways to stack silver? Let me know in the comments below. Do me a favor and like and subscribe. I'm back in the saddle. I'll be seeing you folks a lot more. We'll talk soon. Take care.